I just finished reading this book and I have a lot of thoughts. So I did watch the movie before I read this book. This is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And now that I've watched the movie and read the book, I think I can say that the story in the book is definitely way more interesting. So for me, the biggest difference is that in the movies, they don't really let you see how crazy President Snow is. I mean, he seems like just a totally normal guy and maybe he gets into some trouble. But in the book, it really shows you how crazy and just wild he is, because he's always talking about how he owns Lucy Gray. Like, that's his girl. He owns her and controls her. And he also talks about how people from outside of the capital are just animals. Like, he doesn't even see them as human beings. Another thing that the movie didn't really talk about is how Snow is constantly thinking of what other people think of him. And everything that he does, he's thinking of how other people would think of him. Would they judge him? Or what would they think if he did this kind of thing? And he's very aware that he needs to be a nice guy to all of these people. But in his mind, he's thinking so negatively about them. He really hates everyone around him, but he just pretends to be nice so that everyone else will like him. And he's basically manipulating everyone around him. So for me in the movies, this didn't really come off very well. It just seemed like he was a nice guy and, you know, in the end he chose to be a bad guy. But in the books, it's very clear that he was a bad guy from the very beginning. So I did really like the movie. I thought it was really well made and the songs are really good too. But I just wish they could have shown a little bit more how Snow was not really a good guy, because after watching the movie, if you haven't read the book, I feel like a lot of people kind of sided with Snow after this and they like understood where he comes from, but I feel like that doesn't make it okay for all of the things that he does in the Hunger Games. So it's kind of complicated. So even though I watched the movie before reading the book, it was still really exciting to read because it was so different. So if you've seen the movie and you're thinking about reading the book, I highly recommend it and it's definitely worth the read.